Spain. A land stretched across the western edge of Europe, shaped by wind, water, and time. From its towering peaks to its endless plains, from its sun-baked coasts to the fertile valleys carved by ancient rivers, Spain's geography is more than a backdrop. It is a force, a character in its own story. To know Spain is to understand its land, its contrasts, its barriers, and its gateways. Its terrain has both divided and unified its people. It has invited travelers and repelled invaders. It has fed civilizations and challenged empires. The Iberian Peninsula, the massive landmass Spain shares with Portugal, stands like a defiant thumb jutting out into the Atlantic. To the north, the mighty Pyrenees rise, a wall of jagged stone and snow that separates Spain from the rest of continental Europe. These peaks, some soaring over 3,000 meters, have long been both protector and prison. For centuries they have served as both a barrier to movement and a refuge from conflict. Kingdoms and cultures developed behind these mountains, shaped in partial isolation, forging a character distinct from their European neighbors to the north. Along the northwestern coast, cliffs fall abruptly into the Bay of Biscay. Here, in Galicia, Asturias, and Cantabria, green hills and mountains dominate the horizon. The Cantabrian mountains stretch like a spine parallel to the sea, sheltering deep valleys and shaded forests. The wind off the Atlantic brings heavy rains, cloaking this region in lush vegetation, a stark contrast to the dry heart of the country. It is a region of hidden villages, stone churches, and rivers that rush furiously down from the highlands. Southward lies the Meseta Central, the great interior plateau of Spain. A vast, elevated tableland that covers nearly half the country. Bordered and dissected by mountain ranges, the Meseta sits quietly at an average elevation of 600 to 800 meters. It is both the cradle and the crucible of Spanish identity. Castile and Leon, Castile-La Mancha, regions of sparse vegetation, rolling plains, and extremes of climate. Here, winters bite with cold winds from the north, and summers blaze under a relentless sun. The land is hard, but not barren. Fields of wheat and barley sway in the dry breeze. Shepherds guide their flocks across stone walls and ancient paths. Cities like Madrid, Segovia, and Valladolid rise from this plateau, their histories tied to the land beneath them. Cutting through the Meseta are rivers, lifelines in an otherwise harsh interior. The Tagus, or Tahoe, flows westward through the heart of the country, providing water, energy, and history to the lands it touches. The Douro, or Duero, carves its way through Castile and into Portugal, where it meets the sea. Along its valley, vineyards and villages stand as they have for centuries. The Ebro, Spain's longest river entirely within its borders, flows eastward into the Mediterranean, nurturing the fertile basin of Aragon and Catalonia. These rivers do not just give life, they shape civilizations. Cities rise along their banks. Roads follow their courses. Trade and agriculture grow in their shadows. Beyond the plateau, Spain's southern lands unfold with a different rhythm. Andalusia, where the sun seems closer, the light more intense. Here flows the Guadalquivir River, winding from the mountains of Jaén through Córdoba and Seville, until it reaches the Atlantic. Its valley is one of Spain's richest agricultural zones, a place of olive groves, orange orchards, and flowering plains. This river once carried ships filled with silver and silk, spices and sugar, when Seville was the gateway to Spain's empire across the Atlantic. The land remembers. So do the ruins, the cathedrals, the palaces. Surrounding these plains and valleys are Spain's many mountain chains. The Sistema Central cuts across the Meseta like a spine, dividing north from south. The Sierra de Guadarrama and the Sierra de Gredos rise in stone waves, their peaks dusted with snow even in spring. These ranges are not just scenic, they are obstacles, historically separating regions, shaping dialects, influencing the movement of armies and ideas. In the southeast, the Baitic Cordillera looms over Andalusia. And within it, the Sierra Nevada, home to Spain's highest mainland peak, Mulhacén, pierces the sky at nearly 3,500 meters. Snow-covered and silent, it watches over Granada and the Alhambra, remnants of another era, another kingdom. To the east and southeast, the land meets the Mediterranean. The coastline changes character with every kilometer. Rocky coves give way to golden beaches. Fishing villages sit beside modern resorts. The Costa Brava, Costa Dorada, Costa Blanca, and Costa del Sol, all names that now echo with tourism and sun-drenched leisure, have long histories of trade, migration, and resistance. These shores have felt the feet of Phoenicians, Greeks, Romans, Moors, and Crusaders. The sea has always connected Spain to the wider world. From Barcelona to Valencia to Malaga, cities grew with their backs to the mountains and their faces to the sea. Along the Atlantic coast in the northwest and southwest, a different world appears. The coasts of Galicia and Asturias are rugged and raw, shaped by storms and tides. Coves hide fishing ports. Cliffs plunge into the ocean. The Costa de la Luz, in the southwest, glows under the setting sun. Here, near Cadiz, the Phoenicians founded Gader nearly 3,000 years ago. Here, the Atlantic winds whisper through the marshes and sand dunes of Dinana, a sanctuary for migrating birds and a reminder that Spain is also a land of wetlands and wildlife. Yet Spain's geography is not confined to the mainland. Off its eastern shore lie the Balearic Islands, Majorca, Menorca, Ibiza, and Formentera. Islands of stone and sun, of pine forests and dry fields, of Roman ruins and modern clubs. Majorca's mountains rise steeply from the sea. Menorca's harbors hide ancient megaliths. Ibiza, known for music and revelry, still bears traces of Phoenician sanctuaries. These islands, though small, are worlds unto themselves, each with its own rhythms, landscapes, and legacy. Far to the southwest, off the coast of Africa, the Canary Islands rise from the Atlantic. Born of volcanoes, shaped by fire and water, these islands are unlike any other part of Spain. Tenerife, Gran Canaria, Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, names that echo with volcanic breath. Mount Tide, on Tenerife, is Spain's highest peak, a stratovolcano wrapped in myth and clouds. The Canaries offer deserts and forests, lava plains and black sand beaches, banana plantations and barren ridges. The climate is subtropical, the skies clear, the land rich in contrast. Across Spain, climate follows geography. In the north, the Atlantic rains fall frequently, feeding green hills and full rivers. In the east and south, the Mediterranean sun rules, with dry summers and mild winters. The interior suffers extremes: cold winters, hot summers, little rain. In Almeria, in the southeast, the Tabernas Desert lies, Europe's only true desert, a land of badlands and bare rock, once a filming ground for westerns, always a place of silence and heat. In the high mountains, alpine climates prevail. Snow lingers in the Pyrenees and Sierra Nevada. Skiers descend slopes where wild goats climb and eagles soar. Long before the name, Spain, was ever spoken, long before empires crossed its shores or kings ruled its lands, the Iberian Peninsula bore witness to a different story, a story carved in stone, hidden in caves, whispered in the bones of those who came first. This was a time before written word, before city walls or borderlines. A time when the land was wild and untamed, and humanity was still learning what it meant to live, to hunt, to build, and to believe. The earliest traces of human life in what would become Spain stretch back hundreds of thousands of years. In the rolling hills of Atapuerca, near present-day Burgos, a treasure trove of prehistoric remains emerged from the earth, a record of hominid presence going back over 1 million years. It is here, in the deep caves and sediments of this ancient site, that scientists discovered the fossils of Homo antecessor, one of the oldest known human species in Europe. With stone tools and butchered animal bones scattered nearby, these early humans were not merely wanderers but active participants in shaping the land they called home. As millennia passed, other species followed. Homo heidelbergensis appeared next, adapting to the rugged environment, hunting big game, and using more advanced tools. Then came the Neanderthals, stocky, strong, and intelligent, who left their marks in the caves of Gibraltar and northern Spain. Their presence was not brief or accidental, it spanned tens of thousands of years. In places like the Gorham's Cave complex, archaeologists uncovered evidence of organized living, symbolic behavior, and the use of fire, indications of a people far more complex than once believed. But then, from the east, a new kind of human arrived. Lighter in build, equipped with a more refined toolkit, and driven by curiosity and adaptability, Homo sapiens, modern humans, began their slow but inexorable migration into Europe. By around 35,000 years ago, they had reached the Iberian Peninsula, sharing the land for a time with their Neanderthal cousins before ultimately replacing them. Why the Neanderthals disappeared remains a mystery. Perhaps competition, perhaps climate, perhaps interbreeding and absorption. But their time ended, and the age of the modern human began. These early people were not merely survivors, they were artists, thinkers, and spiritual beings. In the caves of northern Spain, they left behind haunting and magnificent evidence of their minds. Nowhere is this more profound than in the cave of Altamira, located in the region of Cantabria. Its walls and ceilings are adorned with vivid paintings of bison, deer, horses, and handprints, images so lifelike, so sophisticated, that when they were first discovered in the 19th century, many scholars refused to believe they were prehistoric. But they were. Created over 15,000 years ago, these works of Paleolithic art speak to a people deeply connected to the animals they hunted, the rituals they practiced, and the spaces they inhabited. Altamira is not alone. Dozens of caves across the Iberian north bear similar paintings, carvings, and symbolic marks. The cave of El Castillo, with one of the oldest known hand stencils in the world. The cave of Tito Bastillo, with vibrant red and violet drawings. These were not random doodles. They were part of a cultural expression, perhaps religious, perhaps communal, passed down across generations. As the Ice Age gave way to warmer periods, the land transformed. Forests spread. Rivers swelled. Animals migrated, and with them, so did the people. By the end of the Paleolithic and the beginning of the Mesolithic, roughly 10,000 years ago, the Iberians adapted once more. They became more settled, developing fishing tools, bows and arrows, and microlithic blades. Along the coasts and rivers, they harvested shellfish, hunted small game, and began to shape the land to their needs. It was a time of slow transition, of experimentation with agriculture, of a new relationship between humanity and nature. And then came the Neolithic Revolution. Around 7,000 years ago, the first farming communities began to appear. Likely influenced by waves of migration and cultural diffusion from the eastern Mediterranean, the people of Iberia began cultivating wheat and barley, domesticating sheep and goats, and living in permanent settlements. Stone axes cleared forests. Pottery stored grain. Fields replaced hunting grounds. The land was no longer just a resource, it became territory, home, legacy. The Neolithic era brought more than agriculture. It brought monuments, rituals, and early expressions of spiritual belief. Across western and southern Iberia, megalithic structures rose. Dolmens, massive stone tombs, stand like silent sentinels over the rolling hills of Extremadura, Andalusia, and Galicia. The dolmen of Menga, near Antequera, is one of the largest known in Europe, its immense slabs aligned with sacred mountains, its chambers a place of reverence and burial. These constructions required planning, cooperation, and a worldview that placed the dead within the heart of the living community. In this age, identity began to form. Regional cultures emerged, each with distinct tools, pottery styles, burial rites, and settlement patterns. The Cardio culture in the eastern coasts, known for its decorated ceramics. The megalithic culture in the west, with its monumental architecture. These were not uniform societies, but a mosaic of traditions, bound by common innovations but shaped by local landscapes and needs. By the 3rd millennium BC, a new force stirred in Iberia. Bronze. With the discovery and manipulation of metal ores, copper first, then tin, then alloyed together, the people of Spain stepped into a new epoch. Tools became stronger. Weapons sharper. Social structures more complex. Trade routes expanded as communities exchanged goods, ideas, and technologies across mountain passes and sea lanes.